Welcome back to the channel. Simulation theory. It's the stuff of late-night debates, science fiction blockbusters, and mind-bending philosophical discussions. You might already know the basics. The idea that we're all just digital avatars living inside a highly advanced computer simulation. But today, we're not just scratching the surface. We're diving headfirst into the deep end, exploring some of the most compelling scientific studies that might actually prove we're living in a simulation. And believe me, what we're about to uncover is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about reality. Let's start with a teaser. Imagine if someone told you that every single particle in the universe, every atom, every electron, contains a piece of code, like the digital DNA of a simulated world, or that your consciousness might just be software running on some cosmic mainframe. Sound insane? Well, hold on to your virtual hats, because that's exactly where today's science is taking us. Ready to have your mind blown? Let's get into it. Before we jump into the cutting-edge research, let's rewind a bit. Simulation theory, while popular today, actually has roots in ancient philosophy. Remember Plato's allegory of the cave? Yeah, the one where prisoners are chained in a cave, only able to see shadows on the wall, mistaking them for reality. Click the card for a YouTube short if you want to learn more. That's basically simulation theory, but with less CGI. Fast forward to 2003, and philosopher Nick Bostrom brought the concept to the 21st century, with his famous paper suggesting that if advanced civilizations could create ultra-realistic simulations, the odds are that we're living in one. Bostrom wasn't just throwing around ideas, he was laying down some serious existential dread. Now, let's talk about Melvin Vopson. This guy isn't just dabbling in simulation theory, he's out here rewriting the rules of physics. Vopson, a physicist at the University of Portsmouth, has proposed something that could make even the most skeptical scientist raise an eyebrow. The idea that information is a physical entity. That's right. He's suggesting that information, yes, the stuff you're processing right now, has actual mass. Let's break this down. Vopson's theory, which he calls information dynamics, posits that every particle in the universe stores information, similar to how our DNA stores genetic information. This isn't just a metaphor. Vopson believes that information is a tangible aspect of physical reality, governed by its own laws. Think about it like this. If you could somehow decode the information stored in a single atom, you might unlock the secrets of the universe, or at least a pretty good recipe for digital pancakes. Vopson's research suggests that this stored information might be the foundation of everything we perceive as reality. According to his theory, the universe itself is essentially a massive information processing system, running on a cosmic scale. And just like any good computer system, this one follows certain rules that Vopson is currently working to define and test. How does one go about proving that information has mass? Well, Vopson isn't just sitting around theorizing. He's planning experiments to test this. He's looking at particle-antiparticle collisions, the kind of thing that would make your high school physics teacher sweat, to see if he can detect the presence of mass in information. If his experiments succeed, it could mean that we're living in a universe where the laws of physics themselves are just the code of a gigantic simulation. No big deal, right? The implications of Vopson's work are frankly staggering. If information is indeed a physical entity, it could revolutionize our understanding of everything from quantum mechanics to black holes. But more than that, it might give us a blueprint for understanding how the universe itself is programmed. Imagine being able to tweak the code of reality, like some cosmic programmer with access to the ultimate cheat codes. We're talking about the possibility of rewriting the laws of nature, manipulating physical constants, and maybe even altering the fabric of space-time itself. Forget flying cars. This is the future. Next up, let's talk about another mind-bender. Consciousness. More specifically, the question of whether your mind, your thoughts, your awareness, could actually exist in a simulation. This isn't just sci-fi, it's the subject of serious research at Ruhr University Bochum. The researchers at Ruhr University are exploring whether consciousness could be replicated, or even originally exist, within a computer simulation. They're using something called the free energy principle, a concept from neuroscience that explains how the brain maintains a stable state in a constantly changing environment. The idea is that if our consciousness can be described in terms of free energy, then it could, in theory, be simulated within a computer system. Think of it like this. Your brain is constantly trying to minimize surprise by predicting what's going to happen next. If a computer could replicate this process, it could, in theory, generate consciousness. Now, if we are living in a simulation, then our consciousness might just be the result of a highly advanced computer algorithm running on some cosmic CPU. The idea that your thoughts and self-awareness could be nothing more than code is both awe-inspiring and deeply unsettling. So, what does this mean for us? If consciousness can be simulated, it raises some pretty big questions about the nature of self and reality. Are we truly autonomous beings? Or are we just following pre-programmed paths set out by some unseen coder? And if we can simulate consciousness, could we also create it? The ethical implications alone are enough to make your head spin. We're talking about the possibility of making self-aware artificial beings, a responsibility that, if mishandled, could have consequences straight out of a dystopian novel. Now let's add another layer to this mind-boggling cake, the observer effect. In quantum mechanics, the observer effect refers to the phenomenon where the mere act of observing a quantum system can change its state. In simpler terms, just looking at something at the quantum level can actually alter what you're looking at. How does this relate to simulation theory? Some scientists speculate that this could be evidence that we're living in a simulation. Imagine a computer game where the graphics engine only renders what's in the player's field of view to save processing power. Similarly, the universe might only render certain quantum states when they're being observed. This would explain why quantum particles behave so strangely when we try to measure them. They're responding to the rendering process of the simulation. In essence, the observer effect might be the universe's way of saying, "Hey, I wasn't ready to show you that yet." The implications here are nothing short of reality shattering. If the observer effect is a clue to the universe's underlying code, it could mean that our perception of reality is far from complete. We might only be seeing a fraction of what truly exists, a rendered version of reality that's tailored to our consciousness. And if that's the case, what else might be out there, hidden from view, simply because we're not observing it? Let's not forget other studies that add fuel to the simulation fire. For example, research into quantum entanglement, where particles remain connected even when separated by vast distances, suggests that the universe might operate more like a global network than a traditional physical system. Some theorists believe that this could be another sign of a simulated reality, where distant parts of the system are linked by an underlying code. And then there's the infamous double-slit experiment, which has baffled scientists for decades. When particles like electrons are fired through two slits, they create an interference pattern as if they were waves. But when observed, they behave like particles. This has led some to propose that particles might exist in a state of probability until they are rendered into a specific state by an observer. Further evidence, perhaps, that our universe is more like a simulation than we might like to believe. So, are we living in a simulation? The evidence is certainly piling up, but the jury's still out. One thing's for sure. The more we learn about the nature of reality, the more questions arise. If there's something we covered today that you'd like to explore further, drop a comment below. And if you're as fascinated by this topic as we are, make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video, where we'll dive into ongoing research on how we might be able to control the simulation we're in. Until then, keep questioning everything. You never know when you might stumble upon the code that unlocks the secrets of the universe.